On a cloudy, cold, and snowy Sunday night, welcome on into the bullpen. I'm your host, Adam the Bull, and I am brought to you today, as always, by Bet Rivers and the Bet Rivers Network. The Browns lose a heartbreaker in disturbing fashion at the end. I don't know what was with the play calling. Just terrible. We'll get to all of it. How did Shedeur Sanders play? I'll give you my thoughts in a second. A lot to unpack from an embarrassing 31-29 loss to what was the worst team in football, the Tennessee Titans. And now the Browns are just a game back of the Titans the Giants, I believe, for the worst record in the National Football League. A lot to break down. I'll read your chat messages as well. It's all coming up on today's edition, post-game edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. Yes, I did forget the name of the show for 8 seconds, and it's brought to you by Bet Rivers. And Bet Rivers players who place a same-game parlay of at least $10 on NFL or NCAA football games will receive an entry into the weekly Squares game. Winning Squares can earn up to a $50 bonus bet per entry. See the Bet Rivers app or website for full details. I'll have some thoughts on the Buckeyes loss to Indiana coming up a little bit later as well. But the Browns lose 31-29. It was a very strange game. The Browns defense was terrible in the first quarter, awful first quarter. The Titans had a couple of big plays, including a 65-yard run by Tony Pollard. That was a one-play drive for a touchdown. Cam Ward, I thought, played very well in the first quarter. And then after that, the defense kind of settled down. Browns had a couple of good drives in the second quarter after they got a field goal following a turnover in the first quarter. I thought Shedeur Sanders played extremely well in the second quarter. I thought he played great in the second quarter. Third quarter, not so much. Bad pick thrown by Shedeur there. Titans score the only points in the third quarter. They tack on after the turnovers. First by Shedeur again. That was a terrible throw by Shedeur on the pick. A terrible decision to throw that ball, period. And then after that, the terrible fumble by Dylan Sampson. You can't just fumble the ball when you get hit. I mean, come on, that's inexcusable by Dylan Sampson there. But down 31-17, offense looking kind of dead for most of the second half. The Browns, with the Titans playing prevent defense, are able to move the ball down the field. They score a touchdown, a nice run by Shedeur Sanders for a touchdown. Then they get the ball back after the defense held tight. Now, I've fast-forwarded past, obviously, an important moment in the game. So they score the first touchdown to make it 31-23, right? 31-23. And the Browns go for two. Now, we've discussed this before. For me, it's a new trend that a lot of coaches do here recently. You can make the case in this specific circumstance the Browns maybe should have kicked the extra point. I could have lived with it. They had. I generally believe you go for two when you're down 8 because you're in most cases, obviously it didn't happen here, you're going to make at least one out of two, if not both, 2-point conversions, especially against a bad Titans team. And if you make the first one, it gives you the opportunity to win it by just kicking an extra point. And at the very least, you go for two and hopefully make it at least the second time, which obviously they didn't, and you tie the game. So it didn't work out. Shedeur Sanders fumbled the ball, or it was a bad snap. I really couldn't see it. Anyway, it didn't work out. So, okay. And we could argue till we're blue in the face. I know some people just don't get it, why you go for two there. Don't care about analytics, don't want to hear about it. That's fine. It's silly to argue it. The play calling, on the other hand, is more reasonable to argue about. We'll get to that. So they missed a two-pointer. It remains 31-23. Browns stop the Titans 3-and-out on their next possession. Browns get the ball back. Shedeur Sanders with what was a tremendous drive. Now, you could say that the second to last touchdown, all right, they're down by 14. The Titans are clearly playing prevent defense. They're not good enough to begin with. That's fine. You want to take some credit away from him there. All right, I know there's a lot of people that are going to look to take credit away from him. But that last drive, the Titans know that the Browns have to score a touchdown, and they committed some stupid penalties. But I thought Shedeur made some very nice throws on that final drive of the game, including a great throw and a great catch by Harold Fannin, who had a monster performance. 8 catches on 11 targets for 114 yards, and that touchdown that made it within 2. Now, the Browns, obviously, in that situation, have to go for 2 again because they failed the first time. Even though Shedeur, had a problem with the snap on the first 2-point conversion, I can't have my quarterback off the field on a 2-point conversion to tie the game. I thought that was an extremely stupid decision by Kevin Stefanski. I like some of the wildcat that they've run, but running a trick play on a 2-point conversion to tie the game against the Tennessee Titans is stupid. Now, in that same vein, that's how you could argue that they maybe should have just, gone for 1, and I get it. If they had, they'd probably make both, and you go into overtime. I'm not going to go against my philosophy in general that I go for 2 in that situation. But the play call on that final one was ridiculous. Either Judkins didn't know what he was supposed to do or somebody else did the wrong thing. I'm sure Kevin Stefanski either spoke or is speaking right now. So we'll probably get an update at some point. But I don't care. You can't have your quarterback. In that situation, you cannot have your quarterback off the field. You can't try a trick play in that situation. Not to me. Not against a bad team. So I don't understand that. The quarterback had done a great job on that final drive, and you don't give him a shot. Again, I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. So I know people are going to make a big deal of going for 2, especially anti-analytics people. I hear you. I disagree. You're not going to change my mind. I'm not going to change your mind. So I'm not going to spend much time on that. But it's just the play call in the final play, beyond stupid. And the Browns obviously don't get the ball back in the final minute of the game, and they lose by a 31-29 final. My thoughts overall on Shedeur Sanders is I thought he played his best game. I thought, you look at what Shedeur's done. He played his worst performance was in that second half against Baltimore, right? Then he played a pretty good game against the Raiders. Then last week, he was not good. It was not a good performance in the loss to, why can't I think of who they played last week? Thank you, 49ers. And then, so we went down, we were here, we went up to here, we went down here, and now back up. I thought this was his best performance. I understand that the Titans are the worst team in football, that his 2 best performances were against a terrible Titans team, terrible, and a terrible Raiders team, 2 of the worst teams in football. I get it. He's got a lot more to prove. As one of the few people I feel like in the country that can talk about Shedeur Sanders without incredible bias one way or the other, this game did not prove anything for certain. But this was a very good performance overall. I mean, if you could say all you want that the Titans stink, which they do, and you got to factor that in. You could say all you want they lost a game, and that's true, and you got to factor that in. The completion percentage was terrible, especially for the early portion of the second half. All true. But you know what else is true? The talent around him stinks. That's true. They couldn't run the ball. That's true. Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson, Malachi Corley rushed it 17 times for 32 yards. That's less than 2 yards per attempt. They couldn't run the ball. All right, if you take out Shedeur Sanders running, Quinshon had 1 run for 14 yards. If you take that out, the Browns ran it 16 times for 18 yards. So they basically averaged 1 yard per carry from non-Sanders guys besides the 1 solid run from Judkins. They couldn't run it. They were down 3 starting offensive linemen, and the starters aren't that good. So he's playing behind a terrible offensive line, and they protected all right, and I thought he, for the most part, did a good job of avoiding the backing up. On the play that he threw the pick, he was too far back. He was on his back foot. He made a bad decision through that ball. It was bad. The intentional grounding was a bad play. That's kind of a lack of awareness there. And there were a couple other times where they brought it up on the broadcast. He's patting the ball, waiting too long. He was far from perfect. Let's not get crazy. But if you can't see after this game that he played well, he played a pretty good game, I don't even know what to tell you. I mean, I'll see what the PFF grades are and all that, and we'll all watch it back, right, with the All-22. But I saw a lot of good things from Shedeur Sanders in this game. I saw a lot of good throws. I thought, what was the moment there? That touchdown pass he threw to the second touchdown pass to Njoku was a great throw. The fourth touchdown pass, or the fourth touchdown to Harold Fannin was a great throw. He made some really nice plays down the field. The throw to Jerry Jeudy, the long completion to him was great. Another completion to Fannin that he found Fannin in the middle of the field. Just, he had to throw it in the perfect spot to get it to him for a big gain. I think that was 35 yards. That was a nice throw. He did a good job, again, outside of the pick, taking what the defense gave him, making those short throws. I just thought there were a lot of good things, a lot of positives from Shedeur Sanders in this game. Again, clearly far from perfect. Some mistakes were made. Clearly the competition was bad. But nonetheless, the Titans' defensive line was not bad, right? They got some good players on that defensive line. And I thought Shedeur Sanders, for the most part, made the right decision in this game. You could argue the pick cost him the game because it led to the go-ahead touchdown, but I thought Shedeur Sanders did enough to give the Browns the win. He throws for 364 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. I'm not going to argue that that he played quite as well as those numbers, but he played well. He played well in this game. There was way more good than bad in my mind. I haven't been convinced to not draft a quarterback. We'll talk about Mendoza later. But I haven't been convinced not. I mean, this was, again, terrible loss. Let's make that very clear. You lost to a horrible team in the end. The defense did not play well enough. Myles Garrett had a sack to get to 20, but he was not as impactful in this game as we've seen. I know he had a couple of quarterback hits. He made some plays, but he wasn't as impactful. Denzel Ward got banged up in this game, so he wasn't as big a factor. Some of the guys were used to making big impacts in the game. Devin Bush had the nice pick. That was a really smart play. That play was unbelievable where Grant Delpit could not sack Cam Ward. By the way, I saw, you look at Cam Ward's numbers, they look terrible. I do think if you watch the game, I thought Cam Ward played well at times. And he didn't play great. And, but the gap between Shedeur and Cam Ward wasn't what the numbers would lead you to believe. But you see you see the lack of talent they have. I mean, Tennessee just has nothing. Although Tony Pollard was the one guy. I mean, Tyjae Spears led them in receiving yards with 28. They have nothing in the passing game. But Tony Pollard, it was like he flashed back to his Dallas days and had a monster game. I mean, he had that 65-yard run, but even without that 65-yard run, he still had 96 yards on 24 carries, which is 4 yards a carry, not including a 65-yard run. So he was great. The Browns' run defense was really poor in this game. It was disappointing to see. I think the injury to I can't think of anybody's name today. The injury to Malik Collins was very clear. I think it affected Myles Garrett today, and it clearly affected the run defense. I mean, the Browns' run defense has been great all year. The only guy that really had a big game was Jahmyr Gibbs, and a over-the-hill Tony Pollard kills the Browns. I don't think it's a coincidence that this was the first game without him and that the Browns' run defense was terrible. So it tells you how important Malik Collins has been to the Browns. Myles Garrett did get the 1 sack. He's up to 20. He needs 3 to break the record, 4 games left. The Browns have a legitimate chance to have the number 1 pick in the draft. I don't think they will, but they have a legitimate chance right now at 3-10. They're tied with the Jets. They're tied with the Saints, who beat Baker Mayfield in the Bucs today. Another shocker. The Commanders are also 3-10. So those 4 teams are tied at 3-10. The Raiders are 2-10 playing right now. The Titans are 2-11. The Giants are 2-11. So I think the tiebreaker strength of schedule. Who had the worst record against the worst schedule? So right now the Titans would still be the first pick in the draft. However, of the teams that have 3 wins or less, and there's 8 of them, the Cardinals, the Saints, the Commanders, the Giants, the Titans, the Raiders, the Browns, and the Jets. Those are 10 teams with 3 wins or less. Of those 10 teams, the Browns have the easiest strength of schedule to this point. Now, the Browns, that'll change because the next 2 weeks the Browns are playing very good teams. They're playing the Bears, the Bills, who won their 9th game today, the Steelers. I think the Steelers won, didn't they? And then you play the Bengals, so you play one team that has a bad record, but that's it. Yeah, the Steelers did win. They held on against the Ravens 7-6. So you're playing 3 teams that have at least 7 wins right now, so that could change. But as of right now, if the Browns were tied with the Titans, the Browns would have the first pick because they have the easiest strength of schedule. But obviously that could change along the way. Can the Titans win another game? It's possible. They're playing the Saints, second to last game of the year at home. And how about the Giants? Is there a winnable game for the Giants to get to 3 wins? I don't think the Browns are going to win another game. And they could. I guess they could. They could. You never know. But watching how bad, how really not well the defense played. I don't. The scores in the second half were not totally on the defense because there was a couple of turnovers. Obviously, gave them short fields, but they still gave up those touchdowns. Wasn't like in the past where they've held them to field goals. The Giants. Let's see. Giants have. Yeah, the Giants. Oh, Giants could win. Yeah, they could win some games. They definitely could. The Giants will win, and I know the Giants haven't won. They were what? They were 2-4 to start the year, and now they're 2-10. But the Giants have the Commanders at home next week, the Vikings at home the week after that. They're at the Raiders, and then the Cowboys at home. They'll win at least one more game, I would think. Maybe 2. Who the hell knows? So yeah, I think the Browns got a legitimate shot if that's something you're looking at. That's the 2 bright lights out of this game is that you maybe got closer to the first overall pick. Whether the Browns end up taking a quarterback or not, if they end up first overall, I think they probably will. But even if you don't, I mean, who knows? I mean, in a perfect world, Shedeur Sanders continues to play better. He's great the last 4 games. But the Browns, somehow lose. They get the first pick, and they trade it to a team that wants a quarterback. I know I'm getting crazy now. I know the odds of that all happening is probably nil, but it is what it is. Let's take a look at a couple of other things in terms of the box score and what happened in this game. Final numbers for Shedeur, 23 of 42, 364 yards, 8.7 per attempt. Very good. Sacked only 2 times. That's good for 13 yards. 3 touchdowns, some nice really nice throws. A very bad pick, but way more good decisions than bad. Mentioned the Browns couldn't run the ball. Quinshon Judkins had 1 carry for 14 yards and then 13 carries for 12 yards. It was a struggle. He did catch the 1 big pass in the early in the game to get him into the red zone, the 58-yard catch and run. Harold Fannin was the star offensively, 8 for 114 with a touchdown. Jerry Jeudy had a big 60-yard grab early for a touchdown. Not much besides that, but got 76 yards total. Dylan Sampson, 5 for 64 out of the backfield. Cedric Tillman had 1 catch. It was actually a really nice catch, and then he got hurt later on what was a terrible personal foul call against the Titans that contributed to the Browns scoring their third touchdown. Yeah, that was a really bad call. David Njoku, 1 catch, 1 yard, 1 touchdown. And Jerome Ford, 2 for 10. Gage Larvidan, 2 for 18. The leading tackler, of course, not a surprise, Carson Schlesinger at 13. Devin Bush, 9. And he also had the interception. Myles Garrett, I mentioned, had the 20th sack. 3 tackles for a loss, 2 QB hits, and a pass defended. And that was the only sack of the game, Myles Garrett's sack. I'm stunned. I mean, the Titans' offensive line has been terrible, and the Browns did not get much pressure on Cam Ward, only sacked 1 time. That was really disappointing, and it'll be something to keep an eye on going forward. Special teams, again, was terrible. Andre Schmidt did make his 1 kick, and Borquez was fine, but Larvidan fumbled again. He got on top of it, but just nothing. 4 punt returns. He averaged 4 yards per return, so nothing much doing there in the special teams. All right, let's get to some fan reaction here. And we'll start here. Let's see. Okay. Jeremy Beatty, this defense allowing 31 points to Tennessee isn't good, even though turnovers gave them short fields. 29 points should have been enough to win this game. That's true. Now, you got to be fair about it. After I just gave Shedeur his kudos, we don't know that if the Titans hadn't scored 31, I don't know that the Browns would have scored 29. It would have been a different type of game in the fourth quarter. We'll never know. But yes, 29 should have been enough to. If you would have told me before the game the Browns were going to score 29, I would have thought they won the game by a blowout. Shice 318 says, with this coaching staff and predictable play calling, they still took this man out in the red zone. The game was a MF statement. Plus, put some respect on his name. 12. Give him the franchise. You don't give somebody a franchise based on 1 good game. But I was impressed. I thought Shedeur Sanders played well in this game. Obviously, we got to see a lot more. It's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out and what decision the Browns make in this offseason. But as I said at the beginning of the show, I thought it was his best game. I thought he played well. Okay. Nashty says Mendoza will have DG-type numbers next season. We shall see. I'll talk more about Mendoza. Michael says defense was a gigantic letdown. Let's see. Chris Gillespie, he played good. RGB, you're a nutcase. Shedeur is better than every quarterback in next year's class. I'm a nutcase? I don't even know what to say. I'm a nutcase? All right. Elephant, 23 out of 42 is still only 55% accuracy rating on passes. B. Barnes starting a petition to get 12 out of this place. I can't win. I say Shedeur plays well. I'm still getting killed by people. I don't even know what to say anymore. This guy, Ulsingfish, says I'm full. Courtney Townsend, I can't believe Cleveland media. Y'all a joke. What do you have a problem with that I said? Mike Dobson, I want to be disrespectful to you, but I'm not because some of the things you say, I don't understand. It's not a quarterback out there that's perfect. I don't even understand what the complaint is. I just spent 10 minutes saying that I thought Shedeur Sanders played his best game, and I thought he played very well. I don't know what else you want me to say. I can't believe the reaction from people. I should. I should be used to it by this point. All right. Bridge Gluey. Blocking this bias and toxic community now. Trash. Okay, good. Donald missed Collins for sure. Mr. Chairman of the board, has Stefanski been fired yet? If not, he should be. I think this may be the final straw. I think he should. I mean, I've said all season I thought he should be fired. This was just. I mean, his play calling at the end there was terrible. Coach Jones, Sanders is not a fifth-round pick. Yes, he is. He was drafted in the fifth round. His comp by one scout was Joe Burrow. He was supposed to be a top 2 pick. Stop with the BS. I don't even. I can't believe it. I shouldn't be shocked. I thought the Shedeur haters were going to be mad at me today. This is crazy. Okay. They are. Both sides are angry, so I must be getting it right. Jim Eagle says, "So what? They won the game." No, I don't know. Ernest Derry, even veteran quarterbacks throw picks. What do we say when they throw interceptions? A veteran mistake? Don't even understand. I lost a viewer now. Wow. Being told to shut up. I'm full of crap. This is wild. What's the bad take? I keep seeing people saying I had a bad take. What is the bad take? Please explain it to me. What my bad take is. I have literally have both sides of this angry with me. It's insane. I should just not read the chats because this is beyond stupid. You're all out of your mind. You're all out of your mind. All right. I want to talk about the Buckeyes. Awful performance. The offense was just pathetic. And listen, it doesn't matter. They're still probably going to win the national championship. But clearly, Ryan Day puckered up again. He's done such a great job this year. Did a great job last year in the playoffs. I'm not going to lose my mind and say fire him like I did a lot last year before the college football playoff. But he puckered up. Once you go for it on fourth down and you don't make it, then you don't kick a field goal the second time. You're like 4th and inches. You're Ohio State. You're undefeated. Don't kick a field goal to tie the game there. You got to go for it. And they missed the field goal. It was a weird game. It was a very weird game. And I hated that decision of kicking the field goal there, and they missed it. I didn't think either quarterback played great. I thought Fernando Mendoza looked very shaky in the first quarter. I thought after the first quarter he played extremely well. But my friend Max, my buddy Max, who is one of the producers of the show, said to me something about Mendoza because I hadn't seen much of Mendoza before this game. And Max said something that bothered him about Mendoza was that he drops his eyes sometimes under pressure. And you know what? I noticed that, Max. I noticed that a couple of times, especially early in the game. So, and there were some throws that Mendoza made that were great, and Ohio State had great coverage, where the numbers might have been a lot better. I think Fernando Mendoza looks like he's going to be a solid NFL quarterback. I say this without really having enough information to have certainty in what I'm saying, but just based on watching Mendoza yesterday, and again, it was against an Ohio State defense that is fantastic. I think Mendoza will obviously he's going to be a first-round pick. He doesn't strike me as a no-brainer that you trade up whatever to get him. I don't see that. So we'll see what happens when it comes to the draft. But if the Browns did end up with Fernando Mendoza, I'd be like, okay, let's give him a shot. And if they didn't, I'd be okay with that too. Yeah, again, as I said earlier, the perfect scenario is for Shedeur to build on his good performance today. Next 4 games, they're playing next 3 games, you're playing 3 teams that are either playoff teams or at least have a legitimate shot. And if he plays well enough that you don't feel like you need to draft a quarterback, That's the perfect scenario because then you could use the top 10 pick and the late first-round pick or whatever it ends up being with the Jaguars to get, in a perfect world, a tackle and a wide receiver. Because whether Shedeur Sanders is going to be the quarterback next year or not, obviously they need to build up the talent around him and around whoever the quarterback is going to end up being in the long term for the Browns. Because the talent around the quarterback this year, for all the flaws in the quarterback play across the board, the talent just stinks outside of Harold Fannin and Judkins, pretty much. And obviously the offensive line isn't any good. It needs a complete overhaul going forward. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. Make sure you do that. I appreciate it. Thanks to Max and Z for producing today. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.